Hello.
Hello.
We're Bonsai Collective, and this is our video walkthrough of Luna Abyss as part of London Game Festival Official Selection 2024. So this is our Steam demo for Luna Abyss. When we come in, we start in the tutorial level, which is after we meet the characters for the first time. And as soon as we drop in, you're going to meet Fox, who is our main protagonist. So just to recap, what we missed in that first cutscene is the first meeting between Fox, our main protagonist, and their AI prison warden, Aelin, when Fox first arrives at the prison to serve out their sentence as a scout.
Time to wake up, little wanderer.
In the Abyss.
It's time to wake up.
A scout is a biomechanical warden that is in the depths of the abyss, that is piloted via the prisoners' consciousnesses. So the actual physical body of Thorx is still in the prison on the surface of the moon.
Where am I?
And they are consciously piloting
What happened to my body?
this biomechanical humanoid creature deep in the depths below. One of the main pickables in the game are these PDAs that give a brief bit of backstory to the world of Lunar Abyss. And as we traverse this alien moon, we're going to need a weapon. This is our scout rifle that we use not only for combat, but we also use it to traverse the abyss as well.
This area of the game is basically the tutorial, so we're kind of teaching players basic mechanics like shooting, jumping. It's a very slow introduction.
Adjustment here. Level that out there and... There we are. Finally a clear connection. I see the Abyss has chosen a Fate Warden for you. I guess that you must be from a working class background. Oh, and you found a scout rifle too. How resourceful. But enough idle talk. The Old Father has made a request. A rare piece of drift technology has been detected somewhere in the canyon. An excavation tool known as the Shield Breaker. We need you to retrieve it for study. I'm adding its general location into your objective system.
This section of level design as well, I think you can see the scale of the world and what we've tried to build inside the walls of Lunar Abyss. Lots of big kind of mega structures for the player to explore, and really wanted to get a sense of scale, uncovering secrets and things.
These little squishy balls you see on the pipes are little void blobs, almost like mines. A way to kind of teach the player early on that there are other things in the world to lock onto and shoot. And through here, we're going to meet a little surprise.
What the?
This is our tease for the Adrift.
Don't be deceived by those still with a human form. Their souls have been consumed by the scourge that runs.
The voice that you're hearing at the moment is Aelin.
All that's left is pure horror.
Aelin is our AI prison warden. He'll be giving you missions and advice and instructions throughout the game.
And sass, the odd bit of sass from Aelin as well.
A little bit, yeah.
We're about to enter our first combat scene of the game. The weird spinning face characters act as like a security system for the world in Lunar Abyss, and once triggered, that will spawn in enemies for the player to fight. We'll do a combat scene.
There's an intruder! Death to the intruder! Death to you!
And the Mother Eyes is a mysterious AI creature in the Abyss that warns you away and summons these rawhead enemies.
The first taste of combat in the game, and kind of showing off our genre of bullet hell in first person. So you can see that all the enemies shoot projectiles that the player has to kind of dodge and avoid using positioning and strafing and things. Another really cool feature of our combat is the lock-on system. So you can see that they actually lock on to enemies, and that just allows the player, when locked on, to strafe left and right, which pairs really well with the bullet hell combat and the avoidance of projectiles.
And in this combat, we introduced 2 enemies, the rawheads, the little grunt creatures that move around and try and flank you, and then the bloody bones, the turrets that shoot homing projectiles at you.
I probably should have warned you about the Mother Eyes network. Oops.
Yeah, I think it's worth mentioning the lock-on is a really intentional decision. We're trying to make our gameplay focused around movement rather than aiming. So we're asking the player to concentrate on their positioning relative to the enemies rather than concentrate on aiming. That said, the lock-on is optional. If you're, really quick trigger, you can feel free to just aim and shoot.
This is the part of the level where we introduce more dynamic and moving elements. And another use for the scout rifle here to hit buttons to open doors as well. We're just about to meet one of the one of the cooler characters in the game, one of the most mysterious ones as well.
This is where we meet the waif, who is kind of like a wandering storyteller.
There isn't much salvage left here, All the useful technology was taken a long time ago.
Just shout out to our voice actors as well while I talk over them, but we really wanted to have our voices acted, and we really put a lot of energy and effort and got some really amazing performances. We're really proud to feature in this game.
For a while. I can't recall when I last saw moonlight.
A relic of different times.
We create time where none exists. It has no material meaning.
And they like their riddles, obviously.
Which to measure. Everything that is exists only as the sum total of what was and what is yet to come. As the snake swallows its own tail, so time swallows itself.
One of my favorite lines.
Do you see?
I'm not sure I do.
Nothing in life is irrefutable. Perhaps you will reach a different conclusion. But please tell me, what brings you to these decaying halls?
I'm looking for a piece of technology, something called a shield breaker.
Ah, I see. So the automated detection system is still in working order. I use an old workshop not far from here. I think what remains of your shield breaker can be found there. Follow the path through this tower and cross the pipes that grow.
Thank you.
Take care, young scout.
Just want to quickly shout out to our composer, David Houston, who did the amazing music to this game. I'm really blown away by what he produced.
And as we go through this bit, the symbol on the wall kind of indicates where there's a collectible. So this collectible will tell you a little bit about the character. But I also just want to point out the drawings on the wall, the graffiti of some of the enemies in the game, which my favorite Easter egg is that they came from a team game of Gartic Phone.
kind of showing off the other part of the game now. Like, we want the player to crouch under things, jump, and traverse, and kind of really feel like they're going in all the nooks and crannies in this big mega structure that is the Lunar Abyss.
Have another collectible here. So those will be distributed around the level. You can slide.
So the good part of the level design here is always making it look like we're progressing by seeing earlier parts of the level.
This is an example of the other type of combat we have in the game. This is not arena-based, it is just linear, and as we move through the environment, enemies will spawn, present challenges for us. And this is just, we call it a soft combat. The player's not locked into the space, they're able to move wherever they want. And yeah, just provides another level of challenge as you're exploring the world.
Nice bullet dodging, by the way, Shawnee.
Thank you.
Too fast.
I didn't die for once.
Just on these parts, we have a new hazard, which is our lasers. Really nice collaboration of art and design and audio coming through these. We just tried to make it feel really fun to dodge these.
The whoosh sound always feels very satisfying when you slide under them or have a near miss, so very satisfying.
Grew up in New London. A sinful place, according to the All-Father. I suppose I shouldn't be surprised.
It's none of your business.
Your transition here was a blessing, really. Anyway.
I just want to shout out the ledge grab in our game as well. It's really gotten to a good place where it's very forgiving with the traversal. If you're close, we will help you get up onto the next spot, which I really appreciate as somebody who can't jump. So here we are looking at the codex. That is the repository of our information and lore.
We utilize these one-way drops as well to keep the player moving forward. Less risk of getting lost and backtracking.
It's a new mechanic we've added as well, which is the launch pad, because it ties very well in with our traversal mechanics that the player can use these launch pads. We call them to get an extra jump height and reach higher areas, and we use that later in the game for like puzzle solving and more traversal.
It is worth saying, as you progress through the game, we do unlock more movement mechanics for the player as well. So when you start to combine all of those things with the jump pad, we get to really fast movement as the game expands.
And then here we're about to unlock our second weapon of the game that we can again use for traversal as well as combat, and it will be tutorialized as a traversal tool first.
Why don't you try the shield breaker out on those blue energy fields? I'll just locate it.
It's definitely a design goal for us, which is to have the weapons more than just an offensive damage dealing thing. It was something we could use, as Alex said, in traversal. So here we're using it to break shields, which is opening doors for us. But then later in the game, all the weapons will have different functions and not just combat.
I think it's also important to note that we don't utilize a ammo system. Our weapons work on a cooldown, so if you use them too much too quickly, they'll overheat, and then you have a penalty to wait for them to cool down.
I'll just mention this section briefly as well. So it feels like the game takes a little bit of a twist, right? This section. So we've been establishing kind of, you understand what you're doing, you're going, you're getting weapons, moving forward, meeting nice people, and then something else happens, which we're kind of gonna delve into a little bit more now.
Selection completed.
And the voice that you're hearing at the moment is the Allfather. The Allfather is essentially the person in charge of the prison that you're in.
Fox, we'll have to look at this.
And then here again is a use for the both weapons, actually, because there's a door that requires to be destroyed with the shield breaker. And then behind it is the door to shoot with the scout rifle.
Useful than we thought.
I wonder if that will teach us something about the combat coming up.
Looks like Shawnee knew exactly where to aim then, but...
Lock-on helped a little bit.
As Ali was saying, we start to introduce the mechanics that we previously learned in Traversal, now in a combat scene. So the shields that we were breaking to open doors are now protecting enemies, and those enemies cannot be damaged unless their shield is broken first with the particular weapon, the shield breaker.
We found a chest which includes some upgrades to forks. This one in particular increases our maximum health. They're usually a lot more hidden across the game, but as it's the first one, we wanted to ensure that it was on the player's path.
And here we see a familiar face with two neat eyes.
Another example of the combat in the game, we call this one a hard combat, which basically for us means arena-style wave-based combat. And this is a real test now of what the players learned up until this point, so 2 different kinds of weapons, multiple enemies, and yeah, the bullet hell gameplay.
Good to note there that the shield breaker, kind of like a shotgun in any other game, you have to get close for it to be effective. As you can see there, the shot did not hit that shield because it's too far away. So we tried to promote with our weapons, mostly weapon switching. You need to have the right weapon for the right task at hand.
And here we see our first mini-boss. Until this point, we know how people go. As you can see from this enemy, it levels up the bullet spam a bit.
Yeah, we have to sort of introduce players slowly to the concept, and yeah, this is the first time we kind of let in the brakes off a little bit and hopefully showing off the scale and the intensity that we can achieve with the bullet hell combat.
So similarly to what we've seen before with the PDAs, there will be unlockable lore for these enemies. Usually after you fight these enemies.
Definitely big push for world building and explaining what's going on. All that can be read about in the lore of the game, and pretty extensive as well. We've put a lot of time into writing the backstories for these characters and the world that we're in, so you can get the main story, but also there's a lot of side content that the players can consume as they like.
I'm aware that we've been talking over some of the guidance from Alan. So just to point out, what Forks has been tasked with right now is to identify the source of a signal which is heard as kind of an audible noise in the abyss. So Forks is currently kind of trying to head towards the sound of a disturbance.
And our sound team, shout out to Ali and Sarah, did a really good job of implementing the signal in such a way that it gets louder as you're moving towards it, so it's directional.
There is a few tricks to that, yep.
So we're seeing the fruits of our labor through the player. If you notice, you were all the way down there at the start of the level, and now this hydraulic wall is creating a pathway to the next area.
And just destroying all your hard work in level design.
Yeah, it's all crushed now, that's it. Can never go back.
Well, it's a good job we didn't need that wall to stay put. Still, if it helps you complete your mission, who am I to stop you drastically changing the abyss? By the way, I have a theory about the disruption. Well, more of an idea. Do you want to hear it? It sounds like some kind of signal. A malfunctioning warden emitting a distress beacon, maybe. Or it could be something else.
Alien really shows through... Oh, go on, Johnny.
So I was just mentioning what I said, recalibrate connection. That just basically means we've finished a level and we're progressing to the next scene. So a level streaming, load dev. Yeah.
As I say, so Alien really shows this like dichotomy between you've got like the more morose Waith, who they're trying to be really cryptic and coy about what they're trying to tell the player, and then you got Alien, who seems to be a lot more, a bit more fun, I suppose is the easiest way of saying it, more curious, and also just showing a very human like side as well for being an AI.
I also wanted to point out the decision I'm very proud of us making, which is to have no fall damage in the game, because there's nothing more annoying than taking fall damage.
That was definitely a conscious choice that allowed us to have just huge set pieces and massive worlds and not have to worry about needing the player to drop down 100 feet or whatever and die. So yeah, removing that, I think, it blends with the traversal gameplay that we want.
I mean, you're in space, maybe the gravity is a bit different or something, you know? Yada yada.
Hey.
And then here's another secret area. As mentioned before, the first of these chests was on the critical path, but now you have to actually look out for them with that sign. Just a quick note as well that you probably stitched into earlier, you saw that large humanoid creature swinging in that open chasm area, but that's one of like kind of the many mysteries and visual world building we have throughout the game that the art team have done an incredible job of setting up, and the story team as well.
And I'll just say that the signal that we were listening to really starts to step up from about here.
And I believe you can also see these like visual effects as well as you get near it, like the static and the kind of almost like fish lens.
Yeah, it's going to increase with the intensity, the kind of glitch effect, and you call it, the kind of distortion on the screen and the fisheye. And that's because we're approaching a very significant narrative moment in the game.
I think it's important to note as well, part of the reason that it is affecting Fox in this way is that Fox is a scout in the Abyss, so while their human physical body is still in their cell, their consciousness is currently piloting these biomechanical wardens that we have.
You're breaking up. Run that by me again? I can't hear you.
We're about to find out what the
Looks like I'm
signal,
on my own.
where it's coming from.
We're about to get a cheeky little glimpse at one of our favorite characters in the game, I would say.
I'm pretty sure it's our community's favorite as well.
Yes, so we're about to get our first look at Urian, who has been affectionately dubbed as X-Cat by the community.
And again, the art team and the visuals for, creating these visuals for this set piece is just, and the audio, everything about this is incredible. And there's our boy X-Cat Yuri. So we also set up a mystery what the hell that eye thing is as well, to tease the player and to set something up for later, perhaps. That's the end of the demo. Thank you all for watching, and thank you to London Games Festival for the opportunity.
You can play through our demo on Steam now, and don't forget to wishlist. You can also follow our socials and join our Discord to follow the game's development.
Well, thanks again. And
Bye.
goodbye.
Goodbye, y'all.
Bye.